Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, welcome back.
So, guys, we wanted to share with you a maybe about 12, 13-minute clip or so of Cindy channeling that we got. And this is like the first 12 minutes. And in this piece right here, Cindy was full under. There was a connection that we had made. And then we got more information after that for like another hour plus and with Cindy and a partial trance channel. And so we're going to go over the initial part and decided we'll let you listen to the actual trance complete under channel and feel for yourselves. And so what this is what's it going to be like on Earth in 2055 from the perspective of some people on Earth in 2055.
That's a curious one, and I think that consciousness is expanding, and this is something that, it's fun and it's exciting.
It is, and again, I know there's all different thoughts on what's going on in the world. When you look to EEARTS, and I chose this picture for a reason for EEARTS, because this where you see the Earth splitting in two. Because as you're going to see, this is what I've gotten from the guides all along. Our choices matter. Our choices matter. It's not like it's complete doom and gloom, and there's nothing we can do about it. There are people that will take that approach to things. There are going to be other people that take an approach where they're going to stay as high frequency as possible, and maybe even go to the other extreme of ignoring the storm when the storm is raging. I think we have to have our roots grounded in the earth, with also our aspirations seated up in the higher densities at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Right. And working on that inner self, working on grounding yourself, because things are really changing, and they're changing fast, and they're going to change. It's not like we can stop the change. That's one thing we can count on in this life, in this human journey, is for things to be different. That's what we came here for. But it does make it easier if you're grounded and centered.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are most definitely not going back to the old normal. And in fact, we are going to have to make extremely difficult decisions. Really difficult decisions that may affect us beyond just one lifetime. And this is what happens at these, ending of ages. It really is so important to be as clear as possible, as focused as possible. And this will definitely go under the channeled messages part on the EEARTS playlist. So we're going to start playing for you the channeling. Now, we have a procedure, and basically what we do is we do mantras to clear the area. The mantras make it so nothing low frequency can come in. It clears the area, clears the zone. So things like even, discarnate spirits, ghosts, certainly anything dark or demonic cannot come through. Only things with a little bit clearer focus and vibration, and only things that the guides allow, because we have guides that watch very closely over us, and they do filter out the negative beings. So if you say, how do you know it's not a deceiving spirit? Well, it's because they wouldn't be able to make it through past the guides, and also wouldn't be able to access Cindy after we do the mantras and clear the area.
Mm-hmm. Right. There's a compatibility point to that too, when energies are allowed to come in that are of a certain frequency. So it also, not only do the guides help us, it also has its own built-in blocking mechanism when we do the mantras and clear.
Absolutely. So we will start with this, and here we go. And so our code word too is namaste, basically. So you'll hear me often, I'll do namaste when I know there's somebody that's going to come through.
Namaste.
Okay.
How are you?
We're okay. We're coming to you through a group of beings from your future collected here, holding hands in a circle, time traveling in such a way that your consciousness has began to accept and understand that you can time travel. We're here. We are 7 beings in a circle who are now adapting to new ways of life through the understanding that we have been suppressed. Our abilities have been suppressed, but in this time we are making a breakthrough in understanding. Here we are, speaking to you now from an abandoned building in a place you might call New York in the year 2055. We are making this effort to reach you through this vessel, our group effort. We deem to be successful, and we claim this success. We are a group of young beings who are now on their path to understanding that there are ways to communicate that we were never told, that were never understood before. We wish to bring you information about this time in hopes that you may help guide humanity in such a way that the least amount of harm will be done to your species. We do not wish to bring fear of cataclysm and war, for on this timeline we are roaming about the streets of this great city on our own accord. We are not shackled. We have not died in a cataclysm, but your life is different. Your world is different. We want to come to you with the changes that have happened in your world. We can only give understanding to our personal lives as we live outside of the control construct. This is an area where people choose to live out of necessity, and some by choice, to allow their lives to be controlled and their bodies to be manipulated in a way that they are choosing this is their safest option to live in this new world. You have called them smart cities. This is the best name for these areas that we have. Smart cities. At this time, you do not have to live within them. But if you choose to live without them, there are difficulties, but many choose these difficulties as well. Many are making homesteads outside the cities, outside the city walls, choosing to remain free. We are feeling a weakening in this connection. We will return and connect with you again.
Thank you for sharing. I hope we could have a little bit more info. So that right now, there's, at your time period, there are people living in these smart cities all over the world?
We are only allowed the information that we can see and hear immediately from family. We can only speak to our immediate area. We do not have cell phones at this time. We do not have devices that give us grand communication. We are simply learning from our mothers and fathers the ways of our consciousness, and we are experimenting at this time and have been allowed to step into this channel. We do wish to bring you more information.
Oh, I am so looking forward to it. I'm very curious. Has the sun had a major flash?
We have not been informed of the sun and the flashes and the flares, but we do feel strongly that something is creating your newfound consciousness, for outside the city walls, beings are living longer than those that are in what you call smart cities. We get this from word from cousins, second cousins, other information that you might not find reliable within the cities. We can only give you what we see and hear from our family lineage outside the cities.
So you are of the group that lives outside the cities and not in the cities?
Yes, we have learned from our parents these new ways of communicating through time, space, consciousness. We are simply experimenting. We do wish to return. We are the Star Children. You can call us the Star Children. That is simple, that is easy, and people understand that.
Well, thank you so much for sharing. In this society, too, if we're able to just get a little bit more info, are there beings from Earth natively and other beings from not from Earth originally cohabitating?
There have been introduced larger beings that are of a human form that are claiming control over these smart cities and the technology. We do not wish to entertain their presence, so we do not learn about them. We do not choose to understand them, as we know that the avoidance of these energies makes them void of our energy field, less likely to be of a concern to our personal life.
So they have arrived in ships and are taking control. They are the ones that control the smart cities.
This is an amount of information that we cannot confirm, but we do believe that this is what has happened. Yes.
And these beings, they look very human-like, but they are, how large would you say? Are they as tall as two average people, or?
These beings are obviously taller, like you would see someone as a giant in a photograph standing next to someone who is of regular 5 to 6 foot height. There's an obvious difference. These beings are the ones who are claiming control over the technologies and smart cities. Anyone who might have technologies that is able to communicate in vast ways, they are monitored. The words that they say, we simply choose to not be monitored, and we stay out of their range of influence. Therefore, we do not learn much about them at all.
Well, congratulations on doing that and maintaining your integrity.
We will definitely continue these sessions through this channel. Please remember us, call to us, because just as we can find you, you can find us and make connections.
I hope to keep continuing. Do you know what year they came here? How long ago they came? In your time?
We are hearing 2035 is the approximate time that these beings started to take over. They did not make a large entrance. They are coming in slowly, probably filtering into your governments at this time in ways that are not being told and seen.
Thank you for sharing that.
We should go now.
Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste.
So I hope you guys found that interesting and informative. Again, that's with Cindy Under in Fold channel. And then she still had a connection, and we're we'll continue with other videos going into that info. But again, to recap, what we got here is that it's the year 2055. And absolutely, there's two different worlds on Earth, so to speak. There's those that are living like the indigenous people live today in tribes in Africa, in South America, Central America, Southeast Asia, small islands. And, for those beings, not much has really changed. Those that are living in harmony with the Earth in a simple tribalist way. Now, for us that have been used to the technology and everything, there's been a decision that had to be made. You either accept that you are slaves and you can't live without the technology, and you go that route, and then you're going to be herded into the smart cities. You will be just like when somebody enters the military. They don't know everything that they're given, that's put into them. All they know is that their arms are sore, or maybe their butt thereafter, and they don't know what's in them, and they will never know probably exactly what's in them. Well, that's the fate of those that decided to go the technology route, become part of the Borg, part of the collective, openly giving away their free will and becoming the slaves of the beings that we call the Anunnaki. Who, according to this source again, will be openly here in 2035, taking over control of the political spectrum openly in 2035. And as the source says, they are already doing it right now, and there are some already here. As we know, when you had those meetings down in Antarctica, that's what that was. That was the Pope. You had the head of the Eastern Orthodox Church. You got presidents. You got all sorts. They all bow the knee to these beings. This is who they serve. This is your Baphomet. This is your Satan. This is your Lucifer again. All these things that we are giving are really just their ways that they use to keep us a little bit uninformed. They give us some truths, absolutely. Again, Satan's the adversary. Well, the adversary are these beings, these interdimensional, intergalactic beings. We've never been alone. As I was reading a book last night on Vimanas and the Vedic literature, again, it was just a well-accepted, well-known fact that we are not alone, that there's 400,000 different types of humanoid species that we know about. Hello, again, this is why the Vatican and, the power structure, through these Anunnaki, Ijiji, and ultimately draconian AI overlords, get you thinking that Earth is the only place there's life, and that there's no life anywhere else, that it's all angels and demons. Yeah, you've been duped. And it's okay. We've all been duped in one way, shape, or form. We've all been brainwashed. We've all been conditioned to accept their way of doing things and to accept our quote-unquote, humans are beings that just because they're born into original sin, and thus they must serve their penance by being slaves. That's not the way it really is. That's the slave masters talking to the ones that they have pegged to be their slave workers.
I really enjoyed feeling the children's energy quite a lot, because what I got out of that listening to it was there is a lot of understanding about our consciousness. And I know some extremely amazing parents out there who have star seeds that are teaching their kids things of this nature. So for me, it was personal, because I know people who are raising their kids with an understanding that it's not just us. And how cruel is it for beings to tell children certain things like, you're all alone on this planet, it's just you? And how cruel is it to say, oh, if you do something outside of this holy book, you're going to burn in hell for eternity? That's just wrong. That is wrong. And it's been done to all of us. And I guess this is why I like to speak up, because I know it's wrong. We should be free. We should not be shackled, and we shouldn't be afraid to look outside of certain understandings to explore consciousness. That's what we came here for. And these controllers are doing everything they can, last ditch efforts to hold that consciousness down, and it's just wrong.
So we're not asking you guys to accept this or reject it. It's up to you. And I would just simply say, knowing this, taking into account what is given here, just watch what's going on in the world and see what makes sense to you and see what doesn't make sense to you. And, maybe it'll just bring a little clarity. And again, that was only 12 minutes and 35 seconds of an hour and about 17 minutes that we got. Most of that was trying to clarify details. And I know this is a lot to take in. And we will follow this up with other videos, on this, and maybe even create a new playlist. It will be under the channeled messages. So, part of the good news is, no, that there does not appear to be any crustal displacement. That's a good thing. So, as far as that big flash that incinerates everybody on the planet, no, that doesn't happen. And it, as we've gone on, it hasn't felt like there's been questions like with you guys. Well, all of us were piecing things together. And so when Cindy and I were walking through the woods, and we've been over, a big chunk, half of this country, basically we've explored together. And you've been in so many other places. When we were walking out there, and again, I'm so grateful to have my partner that I have in this life, because she is the answer to my wishes and dreams in this life. Because I'm the type of person, like when I was a little kid, I remember saying to my mom after I had my experience, I'm not afraid of dying. I just got to know everything. That's just me. I got to know everything. And it's because of my Rahu and my Jupiter, where that is placed. It gives me this insatiable quest for knowledge, and not memorization, but real knowing, experiential knowing. And that's what everybody should be shooting for, is that deep knowing. And there's some things that haven't made sense there, because we could remote view certain areas, and according to what we're given, if we look at a lot of different sources, that this area should be totally underwater, that area should be underwater, and that's not what we find. Here we are, we're remote viewing areas in 2050, and then we were remote viewing in 2100, and areas close to the Mississippi River were not underwater. And, again, I think this is part of the controlled disinformation that they're always giving us. We recognize, again, we did at one time have a video that got 900 plus thousand views, and we've had videos getting hundreds of thousand views. Now our videos, the last 3, get about 1,000 views, 1,200 views. Why? It's because we're too close to the truth. Anybody that has 500,000 subscribers, you need to be very, very cautious about. Now, if you see that they have 500,000 subscribers, but now all of a sudden their videos, instead of getting 250,000 views or 100,000 views, are getting 2,000, 3,000 views, okay, they probably are giving you really good information. Because, again, they won't let the good, true stuff out. They won't let the stuff out that's going to really self-empower you, that's going to give you a real glimpse at what's going on. They suppress it, so you have to look a little bit deeper. Always be working on that discernment. And, again, work on building your abilities. These kids have basically, they've enable themselves to travel space-time, and these are kids. Now, we can do that. That's part of fourth density. Fourth density, again, time and space as we know it in some ways is illusory, and it's the only way that our physical body can handle reality, because ultimately when we're out of the physical body, if we have a developed light body, a Merkaba, there's no limiting us. And it's all about developing that. That's the true rainbow bridge to freedom. And again, all the distortions, and when you talk about rainbow, the first thing that comes to your mind is not going to be the rainbow body. Again, they understand that as we wake up and we start to discover new truths, they want to put something negative in there. Like when we say ISIS, immediately what goes to your mind? Does the ancient goddess go to your mind? Or does a terrorist organization go to your mind? This is all the connotations. They want it to be an automatic response where anything that's truly good is going to first have some sort of negative connotation that's going to push you away, repulse you away. And they want to draw you in to that which is going to ultimately lead to enslavement. They are very intelligent beings that understand this and have done this through many cycles. So they trap many souls for many cycles. And that's the scarier aspect of it, because again, the body is just a vehicle. But if they could anchor you into their lower frequency, then they're going to have you not just in this lifetime, but in the next.
Mm-hmm. Well, they do have that understanding of consciousness, because they have been visited by beings that are not from here that understand all of these things. So yes, the controllers have that keen understanding, and they do have that leg up, and they've been very careful to not let that information out to the masses, because we all have these abilities. And the one thing that keeps us from using them is fear of this, fear of that. Also, the sun is doing these incredible flares lately, and I would really suggest to get out there in that sun and really, really enjoy it, absorb it, because that is source and it's plasma, and we too are plasma. We are getting updates right now. We are getting so many updates, so many upgrades. The best way to receive them is drink a lot of good water, good clean water, get some rest, enjoy yourself, and let those energies absorb. And then there's going to be a time where things need to integrate. So things might get difficult. You might have difficult emotions. You might have difficult things to work through. But these are all things that should be taught growing up, but they're just not.
So again, there's two separate realities, and there's a lot of very interesting aspects that we haven't touched on yet that we will touch on to give a more clarity to that, because there's so much here. There's so many different ways to show how we truly can choose our freedom. We absolutely can. But you have to recognize that you're going to have to make that decision to give up the technology, because the technology has been created for the express purpose of entrapping you. It's the whole thing. We got to make our choice, and you're not going to be able to straddle both worlds. You're going to have to make a choice which world you're going to step into and which world you're going to stay out of. Again, it's your decision. Every person has that decision to make. So with this info, maybe look at the news with a little bit more of insight into what's going on behind the surface and why the puppets, they are nothing but puppets, do what they're doing, why they go to certain meetings, because, when the doors are really closed, there may be other beings there that are giving lectures that you might not expect to see if you're the public.
They're definitely taking orders.
Absolutely. Again, thank you so much for your support on Ko-Fi and Patreon. We couldn't do it without your support over there because, again, even like last night's video that we did on Rosemary, giving us information on surviving these times, demonetized. Why? Why would that be demonetized? It's all about helping people heal. They don't want you to heal. That's the obvious thing. Natural ways of surviving these times, demonetized. Yeah, this tells you. They tip their hand, and their hand is tipped for all those that have their eyes open to see.
Source bless and namaste.
Namaste.